Wherefore, Series 3, Episode 5. When asking permission to join the Hypothetical Gentlemen's Sauntering Association, James Weaselgrease sends them a photo of a map. It is a custom-made Ordnance Survey map, and on the cover it says, "I know exactly where we are." James also flags up that while he could hypothetically be a gentleman, on closer inspection it would be obvious that in fact he isn't. He hopes this will be okay. And of course it is, because he's entirely the sort of reprobate they were hoping to attract. James has an approach to rambling that is heavily influenced by having seen the Blair Witch Project at a formative age. He's attracted to ruins and spooky things. He likes finding art in the woods. He never really knows where he is. Thus far he has singularly failed to find any sinister entities that want to kill him, but it is generally considered likely that his final words will be, "So cute," and that it will in fact not have been cute at all. That said, if anyone is going to be mauled to death by one of Stroud's legendary big cats, it will in fact be James Weaselgrease, and he will not mind in the slightest. How we've got this far without talking about Stroud's big cats is in itself a bit of a mystery. Sightings are occasional and tend to crop up during periods when news is otherwise slow. Clearly this is just a coincidence. The cats are invariably black. The photographs of them are invariably a bit fuzzy and often a bit obscured by trees, hedges and so forth. Sometimes there are footprints spotted, or someone comes across the mauled remains of a swan, and the story picks up again. What with the semi-corporeal megafauna, the wizards and the shapeshifters, there are a lot of possible explanations for big cats. It's even possible that these are escapees from circuses, zoos or private collections, but I don't want to ask you to suspend your disbelief to such an unreasonable degree. Currently, I assume there is no relationship between big cat sightings and a cat's Wigston found in the hedge recently, but I admit to not having explored this in any great detail. Among his other interests, James includes a personal quest to find the giant badger of Slad, and a fixation with the belief that there is a wild bear in Stroud. We can safely assume that what James has actually seen are bear footprints left by Ursula. However, at this stage in his career as an unlikely fauna enthusiast, James doesn't know about Ursula or any of the other shapeshifters. It is through James Weaselgrease that Martin Shearwater comes to hear of the hypothetical gentleman as well. James and Martin know each other from their scything days. They are both introverts and like the kinds of social gatherings that involve standing a long way away from other people and not actually talking to them. Before there was social distancing, there were scythes, and anyone with a vested interest in their own shins stays well away from someone who is scything. Martin Shearwater, you may recall, is one of Stroud's antibodies. He doesn't know this about himself, he just thinks he has an excessive fondness for beating the bounds of parishes. He also likes bird-watching and yodelling. Stroud keeps him yodelling as a preventative method. The jazz cyclist is no longer giving the town headaches, but you can't be too careful about these things. Martin Shearwater likes the idea of being a hypothetical gentleman, and is taken with the idea of rambling alone together and how that might progress. He's just sociable enough to fancy sharing something of his wandering adventures. It would be nice to beat the bounds with someone else, just to see how that goes. He wonders about long walks with people who don't especially want conversations with him, but who might stop now and then to point out an especially impressive area of mud or an unusual bird. The first hypothetical gentleman to be overtly female is the wizard Winklepicker. She has a number of online identities with which she joins anything and everything happening in the Stroud district. If anything looks like it might be important, she will be on the committee. Sometimes, in an emergency, she has simply had to persuade people that she is on their committee even when she isn't. This is especially awkward with groups that don't technically have committees, but even then it isn't beyond her. She is very good at seeming like just the sort of person who should be on your committee. She should be running it, you'll think. And from there, it is a very short step to just doing what she tells you to do. Some 6 months ago, Winklepicker was bemoaning the absence of a psychogeography group she could deploy to make up for the loss of the Five Valleys Walk. And now, here they are, having simply organised themselves into existence. She would feel better about that if she had been involved in starting them off, but they are a gift, even if they seem far too convenient to be plausible. There are a number of magical projects she could use some help with, and not having to traipse around the district to get them started will be a great advantage. And so it is that the hypothetical Gentlemen's Sauntering Association finds itself committed to the idea of seeking out the perfect Cotswold field. They are already arguing about what even would define a field as perfect. Clearly, it must have both a dry stone wall and a beech hedge. There should be some kind of historical feature. Should it have a bit of Roman remains in it, or a barrow, or both? There must be a spring, or at least you should be able to hear water. Orchids and larks are discussed. Photos are shared of the best fields. Winklepicker watches it all, and is pleased with herself.